Okay guys, I got an important video for you today, so definitely want to pay attention to this one. You notice these vertical red lines. I'm going to cover these. I have an indicator that I think we had a precursor that let us know before our last drop, and I think this vertical red line here represents where this drop's going to happen, or maybe a little before. We're going to cover that. Also the Dow Jones, the S&P 500, the dollar index. We give you some price targets for Bitcoin. We're going to cover the Chainlink chart I've been using. I've been very profitable with that chart. I'm going to show you how to be profitable with it as well. We're going to cover ADA. Before we get into that, I am giving away two of these 2020 American Eagle 1 ounce silver coins. They're uncirculated. All you have to do to qualify is subscribe, like, and leave a comment. In the next live stream, I'll use a random comment selector to pick the winner. Again, it'll be 2 coins, 2 winners. All of these charts, so that you can see here in this video, are accessible on my website. It's opticalartcrypto.com. The link will be in the description. All of these charts play out live. Just click the link, they load up. They're also shareable, so if you click the copy icon at the top right, you can save these as your own. And also follow me on Twitter. This is the first place to go to keep you guys updated. This is the Chainlink chart I was talking about. We're going to cover that into this video. Again, it's easy to make a post. Videos take a while, so this is the first place I go to keep people updated. Again, it's the optical art chart. That link will be in the description. Okay, so in this chart, also I want you to notice, before I get rid of the MACD and the RSI, take note back here. The MACD was in the green, and then we came down and it turned red. This is when we had a COVID crash. And we came down to the and by the way guys, the chart names, I always have the chart names referenced in the chart, whether it's a video or on Twitter. So the name of this chart on the website is Bitstamp Weekly, moving averages 300, 200, 121. So that's how you know the name of the chart. But if you'll notice, right here, it was red, we turned green on the MACD. Then we had our drop. As we had this little bull rally pushing up, you notice it was green. This is on the weekly, by the way. So it's just now starting to cross. It's very possible, and also I'll show you this indicator, but it's very possible at this point. Now I know the RSI is oversold, so it looks like this has room to push up. But just keep in mind though, just because it's at a low point doesn't mean it can't go lower. But I would like to point out that the MACD looks like it's about ready to curl back under, and it looks like the MACD is about to turn red. So just keep that in mind. But I want to show you, so the indicator I'm using is oil. So if you'll notice the vertical red line here, this is in January, this vertical red line here is in February. So this is the actual oil chart, and you can see that it looks like this is about to curl down. But let me kind of zoom out, show you the bigger picture of this chart. Again, I know there's a lot on this chart. I have fib channel lines that price is respecting, as well as the fib circles, but I want you to pay attention to the yellow and orange fib circles, and we are respecting the blue fib circle as well. What I want to point out, let me show you how well price has been respecting this. So notice that this orange ring, we pushed up it came down, it was support, we rode right up the inside of this ring, we dropped down to this orange ring, we pushed up, respecting this blue fib circle, which would have been a pivot, came down to this ring of support, resistance. We dropped down, we found, we came back up as resistance, we dropped down to this orange ring as support, pushed back up to this yellow ring as resistance, we dropped down to this orange ring, came back down to this orange ring, bouncing back up and forth. Then we dropped down here, respecting all of these orange and yellow fib circles, came up as resistance, found support on this orange one. So if I zoom in here, and if you follow me and you understand how these fib circles work, when you're respecting a fib circle, as you can clearly see, we're respecting this this orange fib circle. Let me make this one a little brighter here. That's this one right here. So notice we came up, we found support resistance on this yellow ring, came down, found support on this orange ring. Then we pushed up, we were riding right up this blue ring. Notice when we hit this yellow and orange ring, it sent us down. As soon as we crossed it, we pushed up, respecting the lines in this fib channel. But notice we hit right here at this orange ring. So we're riding up the blue ring, and when we found resistance at the orange ring, right here at this point, and this was the peak. This was our peak. So if we go back to Bitcoin, this right here, I need to put this on the daily so you can see it. So this peak was on September 3rd. That's what this represents, and you can see right here, this is September 2nd right here. This is when oil dropped, and that's when This is when the Dow peaked, also the S&P. This is when the S&P peaked right here. So what I'm getting at is back here, you can see it was on January 8th. That was the highest point that oil got, and then we started dropping down. We had our neck. We put in another peak right here on the 20th of February. That's when everything started crashing. The highest point we got was right here at this orange ring. And again, this is the oil chart, USD 9520 under the stocks page. But again, we got topped out at this orange ring, riding up this blue ring. As soon as we crossed the blue ring, the orange ring was too much resistance. So as soon as we crossed the blue ring, we had a drop. And those respecting this yellow fib circle as well. We pushed back up and we found resistance. So I think it's very likely that this orange ring is going to continue to push oil down. And as we saw, oil was a precursor. So oil topped out back in January. In January over here. In January over here, the price of Bitcoin was still pushing up. It was the second peak when we started dropping. Remember, oil was already coming down as Bitcoin was going up. And when oil dropped the next time, that's when the stock market and Bitcoin crashed. So I just wanted to point that out. Notice that we are coming up on the apex of this ring. I think it is very likely, since we got topped out right here, I think it's very likely that we're going to be topped out here. We might push up a bit, but I think this ring is going to continue to push oil down. And I think when we cross this ring, it's going to send us down lower, potentially to these yellow rings we've been respecting, as well as this orange ring. And you can see that every time we cross, and we crossed, and we fell through to the next ring, fell through to the next ring, same thing with each one of these yellow rings. So now we're out to the right side of the ring. So it's very possible when we cross this ring, I know that it's going to push us down. When we cross it, it seems likely it would drop. It is possible it pushes up. It is a pivot ring. I just want to point out that that is a move for oil. So if you're waiting for a move on oil, it's very likely that move's going to happen. I think it's going to push us down, but I think the actual move will take place when we cross this ring. So we're talking, we'll be at the apex of the ring on October 7th. And we'll have crossed it around the 8th or the 9th. So I did want to point that out. So let's go to the Dow Jones here. Again, this is when oil had its peak. You see back here, so this was the highest point, dropped down, came up. So this is when oil was coming down. And this is the second time oil put it in its peak and then dropped. So when oil is coming down, that's an indicator that there's less things being shipped. Planes aren't. There's less planes. There's no need for oil. Trains aren't going. Products aren't being shipped. So that's an indicator of the global economy and the markets. So it seems like what's happening here, and if you'll notice, right here was the second. And again, I'm going to reference Bitcoin, go back and forth. I'm playing this too well. But notice that we peaked right here. Again, this is the orange ring. Every time we cross an orange ring on the Dow, we drop. Back here, we cross this orange ring. We dropped, found support on the orange ring. We pushed down at this orange ring. Then you notice when we crossed this orange ring, we dropped. We bounced on each one of these orange rings. We bottomed on the very bottom orange ring down here. And that's why I was saying that, this orange ring, we crossed it. I was thinking that this would be the beginning of the crash. It has taken a while, but you can see ever since we crossed this orange ring, we have been coming down. So I do think the highest point, we've already peaked on the S&P, the NASDAQ, everything. We're already ready to come down. Notice that we're in a falling wedge right here. Now this is a bullish pattern. This could break out at any point to the upside. I do have resistance levels, but the main thing I want to point out is if oil tanks, I think it's going to bring all of the markets down. And it's just a coincidence, maybe not a coincidence, I don't know, but that just happens right here, right when oil tanked on the 2nd of September. That is when everything peaked. That's when the Dow started coming down, S&P started coming down, and when Bitcoin started coming down. So if oil has another drop, if we start moving sideways and down, especially if we cross this ring or the bottom of this ring and we have a major drop, that could bring oil down to your first target would be $34.83. Your next target below will be this blue ring. Notice we're respecting this blue ring. As soon as we found resistance at the orange ring, we broke this blue ring and came down. So again, we're respecting all of these rings, including the orange ring below. So my point is, if we have a major drop in oil, I think that is going to be that's going to bring the stocks down, and we all know Bitcoin's correlated with the stock market, so that will bring Bitcoin down as well. And keep in mind, you know, this 21-week moving average, everybody, as long as we're above this, I think a lot of people are pretty bullish that this is going to go higher. If you'll notice this this ring right here, notice that every time we hit this ring, we've got rejected. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is on the daily. This is on the weekly. Every week we hit it, we got rejected. We went sideways. We hit it, we got rejected. And currently we're finding support on this 21 weekly. If it pushes up, the highest point I see us going is 13,796. We get above that, I think that's when I get bullish. As we can still push up and get rejected at this point. I do think it's more likely, though. I think the markets will be coming down. I think Mondays can be kind of make or break for the direction. I mean, if we break below 10,000, this is, you know, just this right here at the 21 week moving average is 10,127. So if we come down below, you know, 10,000, you know, we're going to be below this 21-week moving average, which is going to be bearish. I think a lot of people are going to sell. And this right here, I think, is when oil is going to start dropping a lot. Again, this is the 100 weekly moving average. This is the 200 week. Take note that this red ring is where we bottomed right here, way below the 200, very close to the 300 week moving average. So I think it's very possible, you know, as this starts to curl up, I think this, if we drop, I think a likely target is around 7,400. Depends on where we make contact. If it falls below that, I do think this is where Bitcoin will bottom, around 2,973. But I did want to point that out. You know, oil dropped, Bitcoin dropped. Oil peaked and dropped. That's when Bitcoin dropped, and I think this is the point where oil's going to make another move. If it pushes up, hey, you might want to go long on Bitcoin stocks, but if oil tanks, I think we're definitely coming down and hit this target. So I just wanted to point that out. Just something's going to happen with oil. Pay attention to this chart. This is his name right here, USD 9520. So the Dow Jones, you know, it looks like we're in this falling wedge again. This is a bullish pattern. If we keep, you know, Monday we'll find out if we break out of this, you know, come back down and find support. This is bullish for this is the Dow Jones. So this would be bullish. However, you know, if we come over, become sideways, start coming down, start bouncing back up and forth in this again, this I think would take us below that 21 weekly, which I think would be bearish for Bitcoin. Obviously this could push up. You know, your target might be right up here, and typically how you measure this, you go from the mouth. So the mouth of this, if we pushed up wherever we break up from, you know, potentially if you break up here, that would put you around, let's see here, around 27,888. However, if we break to the downside, you know, that could bring us down here to potentially, you know, this next yellow ring below is around 24,793. So it is more likely that we break to the upside from falling wedges, but I think it's like 75% of the time we break to the upside, but they do break to the downside as well. We'll have to see what happens. I do think oil is what's going to determine what's going to happen with the markets. And keep in mind, I have these charts saved now with these vertical lines, and again, I do think this was the top, and I think this orange ring is going to continue to send us down. This is a chart that I haven't used a lot in my videos. This one's called Dow Jones one-day crash rings. Notice every time we hit one of these green rings, it sends us down. We hit it, push us down, pushed above it, found support. We hit it, we got rejected. Also respecting this trend line. We broke this trend line. So I think we've already broke, well, this is where we had our COVID crash. We came down, notice the wick of the candle came back up to this green ring, and notice we hit this ring and it pushed us down. So if every time we hit one of these green rings, it pushed us down, and we just happen to be coming up on this point where I think oil's about to make a big move. Again, if oil goes up, maybe we break above this ring and we start going higher. But I think it seems more likely that this next candle, at least for the, this is actually on the monthly here, but I think it's more likely it's going to start sending us down. And keep in mind, we bottomed right here. This is a trend line we've been respecting going way back. This, I mean, I could go all the way back on this, but we've been respecting this even further back than, what, 96? So again, I'm saying if this does drop, you know, your next major support This is potentially 19,347. So do pay attention to oil. That chart is available. The S&P, same thing. It looks like we're in a falling wedge. This right here represents when we cross the apex here for oil. So again, watch that move. We are in a falling wedge. It's very possible this could break up at any time. It could be a fake out as well, but if we continue to move down this, and then potentially if we come down, we got targets to the downside, got targets to the upside. But I do have all of these referenced, and keep in mind this was the peak on the S&P, and again this was the peak for the Dow, and this was the peak we had, and we had our drop for oil. So I think oil is a leading indicator which way the markets are going to go. This is the dollar index, guys. I've been talking about this for a while. It looks like this is a MACD. It looks like it's about to curl up. We are a little overbought, so this might reset and come down a bit, but I do think this is angled up. I think we're going to go much higher for the dollar. This was resistance right here, and this is resistance back since May 15th, the May 25th. You got all this resistance from 26th of June through 17th of July. And this was the descending broadening wedge I said we were in. Support, resistance, support, resistance, support, support, resistance. Once we broke above this red line right here, this red trend line, that's when it got bullish. We pushed up, found support, then we broke above this this yellow line right here that represents the top of the wedge. And we've been going up ever since. So I think it's very likely the dollar keeps pushing up. We did get rejected, and this was actually in a live stream. I told you when we got rejected at a certain point, that'd be a perfect opportunity. Let me go to a smaller time frame here. It was right here in a live stream. I said, watch this point right here to get rejected. And at this point, if you go back and watch that live stream, we got rejected right at this point. And I said that would be the point to potentially long any altcoins or Bitcoin. And right when we got rejected, Bitcoin started pushing back up, altcoins started pushing up. So that gave you a perfect opportunity to put in a long. So it is good to have the dollar index, because again, if the dollar's down, Bitcoin's up, stocks are up. Same with gold and silver. But as soon as the dollar pushes up, Bitcoin's coming down. Actually, as soon as the dollar goes down, Bitcoin's going up, stocks are going up, and vice versa. So dollar up, bearish for Bitcoin and stocks. Dollar down, bullish for Bitcoin and stocks. I just wanted to point that out. But we are pushing up. I expect us to go a lot higher. This is the rising wedge chart, guys, and this was, it was pointed out in this live stream as well. This was this huge rising wedge we were in, and I showed you this before. If you do a trend line, you go from the top to the bottom. This is typically how far you break down, and that just lines up perfectly with this orange ring that we've been respecting going way back. You can see how much support and resistance this was. As soon as we broke it, we dropped. We came up respecting this white ring. As soon as we broke this orange ring, we dropped. See, we came up, found support and resistance. We came up as resistance, dropped down. Notice as soon as we pushed above this orange ring, we pumped. So this is a very important ring right here. It intersects actually with this orange ring right here around 7,400. I do think we are coming down. This is a huge rising wedge. It does seem likely that we are going to be going sideways and down, but do note, take note that we were expecting this white fib circle here. It was resistance, resistance became support, and you can see we pushed up and we got rejected at the top of this rising wedge. Notice we found support on this white ring, came below it, it was resistance. This is where we peaked right here. Actually, this is the amount we would come down. So, anyways, we came down. We found support right here on this the last line in this fib channel. Notice that we were finding support on it, a little bit of resistance, support. As soon as we broke it, that's when we came down. But notice where we came down to. We dropped right to this ring. So, guys, that's what I'm saying. When you have fib circles, it gives you support and resistance levels that normally you couldn't find. I mean, a lot of people were expecting this to drop further. What they saw was a bear flag, and they expected this to drop down further. So it was something like, I need to go to the smaller time frame here. So people were looking at this, they said, oh, well, this looks like this is potentially a bear flag like this. And, you go from your pole, down here. So if it dropped, people were coming down, people were expecting it to come down to around, 9,900, 10,000. I knew it wasn't going to come down that low because we had this ring, and I knew it would respect that ring because we were respecting this fib circle earlier. This is the next ring down. So when you make contact with this ring becomes support. You can see we pushed up ever since we hit that ring. We've actually pushed up a total of 6%. So again, guys, this is just showing you that fib circles actually can give you support and resistance levels that normally you couldn't find. And this does play along, you know, and I updated all these charts. So this right here represents October 7th when I think oil is going to make its move. For price targets for Bitcoin, this is the Coinbase 32120 weekly B. So just to give you some targets to the upside if you're playing the longer targets. So if it pushes up, guys, you can see this red line right here. This has been a lot of resistance right here. There's actually resistance here as well. And you see we hit it once, twice. We haven't hit it yet. So if we push up, you know, your first target to the upside, if we move straight up, is around 10,856. If we drop, you know, a major support level, you can see this has been a lot of support right here. So, you know, below us would be around 10,532. If we drop below that, notice respecting this yellow ring. So a target below would be potentially around 10,300. And we're also respecting this white ring. So another target below that, potentially 10,152. And then you're respecting the fib channel lines as well. So just give you a few other ones. If we break below that, you're looking at around 10,000. And then your next fib channel line below that is around 9,700. If we do push up, your next major target to the upside would be up here around 11,500. This is just based on the Coinbase weekly chart. These are for smaller targets. You can see we've been respecting this fib channel very well. This has been a lot. You can see how much resistance this has been right here. This has been a lot of support and resistance. So for smaller targets, your first upside target, this is the BTC USD 32120. This is the Bybit chart. If we push up, your resistance is going to be around 10,836. If we drop, your first support level is going to be around 10,600. Keep in mind, we are respecting this yellow ring right here, as well as the fib channel lines. So potentially, you know, out here is 10,400. And then your next fib channel line below, this is right at 10,000. If we push up, your next fib channel line above is around 11,142. It is good to reference different charts. This is for smaller targets. Let's cover this chart. So this is just another chart just showing how these rings work. And we actually created this fib circle in a live stream. You can see that when, you know, price was, let me get rid of this ribbon here. You can see we came up as resistance right here, came up support, resistance, support, resistance. We dropped down to this ring, pushed back up, resistance, resistance. We came down, found support, we broke it, came down to this one, broke it. You can see we had a wick, but the meat of the candle came back up as resistance, found support, resistance, support, resistance. We broke it. Where did we come to? Right down to this next yellow ring, found support, pushed up as resistance, found support. We pushed up, found support on this ring, and then we kind of rode up. We kind of rode up this yellow ring, and then we broke the yellow ring. We dropped down. Notice we dropped down. So not just the fib circles, you're also respecting these fib channels. Keep in mind the fib circles are based off of the fib channels, but notice we hit this, I mean, right to the tick. So once we break this point, we'll be breaking into another fib channel. So you'll be respecting the rings, but also the fib channels as well. So for instance, if we did drop, let me get rid of this. So if we drop, you notice we're respecting the fib channel lines and at this angle as well, right here. So if we drop a likely target, first of all, we'll test this fib channel line again. So we kind of move sideways and down. This is 10,658. Notice we almost made it to this ring right here. So if we pushed up, you know, likely resistance based on this chart is around 10,800. If we drop to the next ring, which we are respecting it, you can see back here. So potentially your target would be right here at 10,588, and then the ring that we were respecting, this is the last ring, that would be right here around 10,500-ish. And then you are respecting, you can clearly see, if we go back, and the price has been respecting this fib channel line here as well. So a likely target below, you know, you have this vertical, this green line going vertical, and you have this white line horizontal. So that's just to show you how to play these for targets. This is just happens to be one chart. I have plenty of different charts for different exchanges. This is the BTC USD 726.20. This is the Chainlink chart, guys. So I'm going to show you this chart, how to play this. So I'm going to be buying right here, guys. If you want the price targets, you know, get access to the chart. It's $49. I'm sorry, it's $39 a month to access Bitcoin, altcoins, precious metals, and Discord. You can make that money back in probably, you know, a couple hours. And again, you get access to all of the Bitcoin, altcoin, precious metals charts. But I just want to show you how accurate this chart has been. And again, this is my buy-in target. You know, whenever we hit this white line, I'll be buying. Wherever we hit this white line, I'll be buying. And wherever we hit this white line, I'll be buying. But I want you to take note. And if you go back and look at this chart, look how accurate this has been. And I won't go too far back, but I do want you to take note of this white ring. Every time we hit this white ring, we get rejected, rejected. Right here, we hit it, we got rejected. We haven't come up and tested it again yet, but notice every time we drop, and guys, this is to the dollar. Notice we came down, we found support. So we found support right here on this green line, came up as resistance up here. We broke through. Notice we found perfect support here, then we found resistance. So basically you have points to buy and sell. Now it's always possible it drops past it. That is the gamble you take. But if you go back and you see how many times a line was tested, it can make you feel more comfortable about buying at that point. Now it is possible it drops past, you know, sometimes maybe it's better to wait to see if it drops past it a bit, then buy and ride it back up. You know, that might be the safer way, but then it could come back down and you could lose some money. The best thing is to buy right at the line and then hope it comes back up. But if you keep doing this over and over, I've been more profitable. Sometimes it drops past, like this point you'd buy here, but I haven't seen this line tested, so this isn't a line I'd buy. I added this fib channel line just because it gives you some smaller targets. We'll cover this in just a bit, but just showing you how this works. So notice we came down. I mean, you could have played this channel for a while. So this was support. You know, you come up here, you sell. You would buy here. Notice it came back up. It wicked down below, but it came back up. Tested this as resistance. It was support. We were also respecting. Keep in mind, guys, there's different lines. Different. You can see we're respecting this fib channel line as well. Notice we broke below this red line right here, and then we came down. We found support here. We didn't quite make it back up. We found support right here. We pushed back up, we found resistance, resistance, resistance. When we dropped down, notice we came up as resistance. You know, this is a fib channel line I could find here. I don't want to have too small of targets, but notice we found support here. Didn't quite make it up. But these are, just want to show you. So notice right here, perfect support. Came up as resistance, came back down, came up as resistance. Right here. When we dropped, this was we dropped down. It was support, came back down. This ended up being support, came up as resistance. We broke below it. You know, we did have one heck of a wick that came down. It came up as resistance. So what I do is for below, I wait till we come back up, find support. So this became support. This green line was support here, and this just pushed up all the way up here to this point. So this was a total move of, you know, if you go from where you pushed up and you came down, you found support, that's a safer way to play it. Wait till you're above it, come down, find support, then buy and hope it holds. But this pushed up a total of, you know, 29.5% before we got to this line up here. And again, when you go back and you look, notice how this line right here played a role as perfect support, resistance, a lot of support right here. So you know this is a very strong support level or resistance level. So what I'm getting at is you can see right here, you can see that this line right here has been a lot of support and resistance. And we could bring this back. Notice a lot of support and resistance right here. And notice this is where we topped out. You know, it pushed up, we topped out right at this point, we're coming down. So right now, your support level, if you wanted to potentially buy, would be right here. This is around 10,062. So if we come down, you know, the more times you test a line, I'm less likely to buy at that point. I mean, you could have played this over and over again. You could have bought here, sold when you got to, and again, this line, just look back and see how many times a line was tested. You can see you buy here at support. This came all the way up to resistance. You buy at support. This did wick down below it, but it did come back up. Then you're working with this You see this red line here represents a fib channel line. It's kind of hard to see, but notice every time we come up, you get rejected here. We didn't quite make it down. We came back up as resistance. Notice we found support here. This is a smaller fib channel I added. We pushed up, found resistance again here, found support, and we pushed up. We found resistance here, and then it came back up, found resistance, so we could find support and push further up. I'm waiting for it to come down. So again, my buy-in points are going to be these three white lines. This chart has been updated. So, and you can see why. If we go back, and depends on, I mean, I could pull it back further, depends on how low price went. If I pull this back, I'm not going to go all the way back, guys. These are based on fib channel lines above, but just if you bring these back, this will line up with price action way back. But the reason I'm playing these, you can clearly see we only tested this one time before pushing up, but right here you can see we got resistance 1, 2, 3 times, and then it became resistance here and support, and then support again. So that's why I will be buying when we drop down to this white line. Wherever we make contact, keep in mind this is at an angle. It's going up, so right here is around $9.62. You know, as you go further out, the price goes up. So again, each time we come down, I'll buy at support, ride it up. But if we drop down as low as this point, I will be buying here to ride it up, catch a nice bounce, potentially take a profit at strong resistance. So potentially a strong resistance level. I mean, you look right here, there's been a lot of support and resistance. So it's possible, you know, you might come down and, you know, do something like this. We'd catch a bounce here. It could come up, do something like this. You know, and potentially I might take my profit there. It could go higher, but it could drop back down at any point, so you might make sure to take your profit. So I will be buying at this point, you know, and riding it up, and then wait for it to come down and break. Guys, I don't use leverage. I make money buying, playing the bounces on the way down. So I will play this line. When we come down, if we come down to this line, I'll buy here. If we break that, my next support level is right here, and then my next one is right here. And you can see why. This right here was a lot of support and resistance. This was a lot of support and resistance here. Now we did come down and we tested this once, so you know, if it did drop down this low, this would be the point to buy. That's why I gotta be careful. You can't drop past that. So if it does drop past it, you know, it's up to you to decide if you want to sell or not, or stay in. But I do know this will hold a strong support, this will hold a strong support, and this will hold a strong support. So again, these are the points I'll be buying in. I did cover that in that tweet. But I will update this chart and let you know. I'll have the price labels where I'm buying in. So I just want to show you that for Chainlink. ADA, I'll just give you some price targets and show you what's going on with this chart here. Notice that we're respecting this yellow fib circle. Let me turn off this moving average. Notice when we crossed this, we were underneath resistance, underneath this green line right here. Notice that as soon as we drop past this yellow ring, we drop right to this yellow ring. Came support, came resistance, we dropped down to this fib channel line, pushed up as resistance, support, also respecting this orange ring. Notice we pushed up, we found support on it, almost made it back down to it. So if we come back down, you know, a support level is going to be this ring. Once you break this ring, you will find support on this ring, and then you'll find support down on this ring. So this is just showing you how you can play these rings. Keep in mind right here, this ring is on the 30th of September. So you know, you go back and inspect the rings, you can see right here was a major pivot. This is all the same fib circle. It's kind of hard to see. Notice right here, if I zoom in on this, we had a pretty major move. As soon as that was pretty much vertical. As soon as we crossed this ring, we just shot straight up. So it's, again, when you cross a ring, it doesn't mean something has to happen. Like right here, not much happened. This is the next ring out. We kind of went sideways. Notice we crossed this ring, just kind of went sideways. But it doesn't mean when we hit this ring, we can't get a major move. If you're above this orange ring, it's likely it could push to the upside. If you're below this orange ring, this would be resistance, and it's likely it pushes you to the downside. But again, you know, just look at the chart. You know, look left, see how price is respecting the fib circles and the fib channels to give you an idea how to play it. But again, you know, price targets, I have smaller price targets. This is on the 1 hour. Probably should put this on the 30-minute. And I do have the ribbon here that kind of tells you when to long and short. But you can see how accurate this is. Let me turn this off real quick. just look at how accurate this has been. So this is support and resistance. Notice this was resistance 3 times, rejected, support, resistance, support. We pushed up, we got rejected right at the next fib channel line. So if you want to play smaller targets, ADA chart is set up for that. So right here was what, 10 cents. Right here, or your next support level below is what, 9.99. Your support below that is right here, 0.094. If we drop down to this ring right here, this is potentially 0.085. And if we pushed all the way up, you know, your major, let's see here, you can tell that this line right here, and this is how you need to look at the charts. Look how many times this one line has been tested over and over again back since the 26th of July. Look at this, support and resistance, a lot of support, a lot of resistance, support and resistance. And you bring this all the way back, look, more resistance right here, and you keep bringing this out. So you know if you pushed up, this would likely be the point you'd want to get out, because this is proven to be very strong resistance. So if you pushed up, you want to get out around 0.1122, because that would be the point you get rejected if you push it that high. And the same thing with bottom targets. If you go back, find out how many times a point was tested. I mean, we can pull this back. Let's test right here. The lowest point that we tested right here was this blue line. So let's follow this back, and let's see how many times this was tested. Actually, it was just tested once there, but it did get tested way back here. So this would be your next major support right here. You see, this is when we had a pump. We pushed up, got rejected, came up, got rejected, found support, then we pumped up once we pushed past that. So again, this would be the next very strong support level. This would also be strong support. You can see we tested this plenty of times. I probably played this one first right here. So if we came down, this would be a likely very strong support level. Again, the more times it's tested, the more I trust it. This is the lowest point that we tested, so it is very likely this could be strong support. But I'd feel more comfortable buying in potentially right here around 0.080. And keep in mind, you know, the further out this goes, this is the downward angle, so that price gets lower. So this would be 0.078. And again, link. Just want to make you aware, this would be the point I would get out. As I was showing you, every time we test this white, this was support, we were finding support on this white ring, but every time we hit this white ring, rejected, 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 rejected. So if you are in link and link pushes up higher, I would get out of link right here. If we make contact with this ring at $11.72, I would get out. If we push straight up $11.78, I would get out, because that has proven over and over again to be resistance. If we do push above this and find support, that would be super bullish for Chainlink. Again, guys, that's pretty much it. I know this went a little long. The main thing to take away is that I do expect something major to happen with oil. I think oil is a leading indicator which way the markets are going to go. And again, we perfect resistance at this orange ring. We broke this blue ring. We came down. I think this orange ring will continue to send us down. This is going to go along with the stock markets going down and Bitcoin going down. So keep that in mind, guys. Right here, this is the 21-week moving average, the weekly moving average. If this gets broken, a lot of people are going to be selling if we break below this point. You know, if we come down and we break below this, that's bearish. People are going to start selling. If we stay above this and keep bouncing and go higher, you know, hey, bull run started, but I think it's very likely. And Monday might be the day, make or break. You know, if the stocks keep coming down, we're already at, you know, we're in a falling wedge, so it's likely stocks are going to start coming back down. Dow's in a falling wedge. S&P's in a falling wedge. Maybe we break up soon. If that's the case, get bullish on Bitcoin. But if we get rejected, you know, S&P and the Dow, right here, if we come back down, I think that will put Bitcoin below this 21 weekly moving average, and I think that will be bearish and could be a cascading effect. I think I covered everything, guys. Just make sure you follow me on Twitter. I will keep you updated if I have anything else or anything I forgot to mention in this video. And again, if you want to access these charts, the website's optwarecrypto.com. The link will be in the description. Do not forget, guys, if you do want to qualify to win one of these coins, all you have to do is subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Next live stream, which will probably be Monday morning, I will pick those winners. 2 coins, 2 winners. Guys, that's it. Until the next video, trade safe, trade smart.